Now, obviously, this brings me to Zohran Mamdani. So I want to congratulate him, and to do so, I do want to go into my own profile and essentially show you, congratulations, Mr. Mamdani, on your well-deserved mayoral victory in New York City. I knew, I certainly knew it was going to happen. I mean, Andrew Cuomo couldn't grope that victory, because obviously he's had a lot of issues with women, to put it mildly. He's had a lot of issues with how he handled COVID as well, and he's just not a good person. He's this old gentleman who people just really dislike. He's really repulsive. Can I be honest? He's just a really repulsive man compared to Mr. Mamdani here. Like, as you can see, Zohran is young. He's got a beard, and he's quite ethnic. So that works. That works for the new generation of New Yorkers. It's not the New York City of the 1900s where everybody was European. It was like a 97% European country. Today, it's only like 30% white, and the rest are other ethnicities. So, Zohran, congratulations. I mean, we knew from a long time ago. So Zohran has won with obviously 50% of the overall vote. It's pretty significant if you ask me. They've got, I think it was here somewhere. Yeah, Cuomo only got 41%. So it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't really even close. I mean, we all knew that was going to happen. What he had going for him was rich, famous parents who were in the media industry. So they were just the perfect people to run a campaign like this. Zohran, like, all jokes aside, he has that charisma. He knows how to talk to people. He's young, he's energetic, and he's got the characteristics. He's an immigrant, he's a Muslim, and he's Indian. And he just knows how to appeal to disenfranchised communities, like people who are struggling, people who are struggling to pay rent or own a home, people who feel like they have no stake in society. He knows how to do that. Like, that's undeniable. He has that charisma. Now, add to that a brilliant campaign. Like, I said this ages ago, months and months ago. I was like, man, this guy's running one of the best campaigns I've ever seen a politician in America run recently. And that's because of that media knowledge his parents, or his mother specifically, who's a filmmaker, has. Like, everything was just perfectly done. Now, Nate, yeah, absolutely. You know what? Like, it's ironic. Not only has he not had a job, he pretends to be speaking to the working class as if he were part of them. But he's not. He's part of the 1%. Like, he's part of an extremely wealthy family, and yet he would like you to think that he's part of you. He's just like you. However, I'd like to think he has more in common with the billionaires that he complains about than the common man. Genuinely, that's just a fact. It's just like Hassan. Now, I did want you guys to listen to Zohran's victory speech. I do think it's quite important for you to hear this, because he says a number of things that I feel like give an insight into what the future of Western politics looks like across a number of countries. Yeah, he is just like Hassan, isn't he? Like, Hassan's dad, I believe, I don't know if he's exactly a billionaire, but sits on the board of $1 billion company in Turkey, extremely wealthy. His uncle is also extremely wealthy and gave him that opportunity. So, yeah, and yet he pretends to be part of that working class, when he would have more in common with a billionaire than the common man. Free Kaya, Hassan's dog, by the way. That was, yeah. Anyways, let's play this video.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one.
Yeah, you know what? The Red-Green Alliance is going to be very effective as a counter alliance against a conservative movement or the MAGA movement, I think, personally.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I
don't think he's watching.
words for you. Turn the volume up.
He's pretty good, genuinely. Like, he's got that energy a person like Cuomo does not. And if you even compare him to other American politicians, he is really, really good. Genuinely. Like, this is going to be very difficult to defeat. But I'll get to that. Let's skip
To account, because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown
Anyways.
as Donald Trump City, built by immigrants.
Alright, yeah, this is
A city
important.
Of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants. And as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Okay, I mean, you see where he's going with it. Yeah, Italians. I mean, it's really funny. I will actually show you something really funny that where he actually excludes Italians entirely from that immigrant bit, because I don't think when he says immigrants, he's entirely talking about European immigrants. Genuinely, I don't think so. These people are very, very sneaky with their words. They know exactly what they're doing. But have a look at his polling. Obviously, this is not the actual vote, but this was polling, and I believe this will be quite accurate as in terms of what we actually just saw. So, most people who, like, among foreign-born New Yorkers, almost over 62% voted for Mamdani, and amongst American-born New Yorkers, the majority actually voted for Cuomo, or if you include Curtis, the vast majority are voting against Mamdani. So when I know a lot of people, especially on X, they were like, "Oh, so New Yorkers have forgotten, the whole thing about 9/11," but New Yorkers did not forget. New Yorkers simply got replaced demographically. Genuinely. Just a large number of people just arrived, got American citizenship, and decided to vote for Mamdani. That's how he got elected. It's not because New Yorkers forgot, because these numbers show that they did not forget. Because it's, on the face of it, like, it is really weird for someone who's talking about globalizing the Intifada or tries to sort of skirt around the issue of Sharia law, for a person like that to be leading New York City, considering its history. It really is. Like, it's, you could almost say, like, I would say it's almost distasteful. Like, there's this bitter taste about this that you just can't brush off. Like, oh, you go to New York City, the one major city, the city that sort of represents the United States. So much so that it was selected by Bin Laden and his group to send them a message with 9/11, is now being led by someone who follows. Perhaps he doesn't follow it to the letter, but he does somewhat follow it, because why else wouldn't you disavow Sharia law or the phrase globalize the intifada. And I know he's said, like, I'm pretty sure I've seen him say certain anti-Semitic things. So it is really distasteful, I would think. And Dan here goes, 59% of voters in New York City are US citizens through naturalization. What did you expect? This is what happens when citizenship is handed out like candy to people who came to America not because they love what it stands for, but because they love what it gives them. And that is true. It gives them the economic benefits, and there's no real incentive to change what they believe in. So they'll vote for him. Because you have got to remember, Mamdani really started his career and got really popular, especially in this election cycle, off the back of the whole Palestine-Israel issue. That was what drove him. That was the engine behind this campaign and what got him so popular. And that's what's given him this seat in New York City now. And like I said in the original video I made about Mamdani ages ago, when he was doing all this weird shit like eating with his hands, which I don't believe he actually does at home, by the way. Because he was eating a burrito on a train with a knife and fork, but the second there are cameras and he's got a takeaway rice. I don't know what he's eating, like a rice and a curry maybe. He just digs his hand in. And the way he eats it, it looks like he's really uncomfortable, but he just wants to play it off for the cameras because he's got to show you just how ethnic he is. He's got to show the progressive white voters, hey, look at me. Like, look at how ethnic I am. And I do wonder if the actual more ethnic non-white voters are looking at this and they're like, what is this guy doing? Yeah, and also Bella, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, he did perhaps last week talk about how the real victim of 9/11 was my aunt, who was in a hijab and she felt uncomfortable riding the subway because of 9/11, because of how people might look at her or how people might treat her. That was his concern. The real victim of 9/11 was his aunt. Turns out, said aunt does not exist. And I believe the only aunt they could track down had died a few years ago and never even lived in the US, or perhaps hadn't lived in the US for many years. And then he goes, oh, actually it was just some cousin on my dad's side, a second or third cousin on my dad's side. Well, what actually happened was he got caught in a lie. And then people like Mehdi Hassan and a lot of people just piled on saying, actually, this point is true. They're like, but in a lot of ethnicities and cultures, they just call people aunts or aunties and uncles. That is true. But you know what? Like, instead of like explaining the lie further, let's just get to the real point, which is Mamdani lied and made up this stupid story, and he got caught because he didn't think anybody would actually go ahead and try to find this aunt of his that did not exist or did exist but never even wore the hijab. But that's the type of person he is. And I know in his yearly, if you actually go on his X account and have a look at his yearly 9/11 post, I don't know if he put one up this year, but perhaps in the previous years, he tries to downplay it a lot. And I know he has been in photos with one of the people arrested as part of the initial World Trade Center bombings. People have talked about gathering 10,000 Muslim men and marching down New York City to gain power. These are the people that he associates with. I've always said I'm not entirely convinced he's that much of a practicing Muslim. Like, you look at how his wife dresses, for example. It's very liberal. It's very chic. It's very progressive. Like, it doesn't... Like, he's at gay clubs at 1 a.m. if you saw that campaign recently. He's holding the transgender flag in his campaigns. This is not something a real Muslim would do. And I know, immediately you can go to the... No True Scotsman policy, but in Islam, under actual Islamic teachings, that's not what an actual Muslim would do. Like, you don't see, like, Muslims in America are like, I don't know, 4 million people, but that's a very small minority compared to the 2 billion actual Muslims elsewhere in the world. And in the 50 plus Islamic countries, you wouldn't see this at all. You would see women in hijabs, and you would see gays being thrown into jail. You wouldn't see Muslims holding gay pride parades and dancing around with pride flags, yet alone have a gay club that they go to at 1 a.m. to campaign. It's just a facade. It's not true. And that's why I'm just like, he just plays a part really well. He's just so good at it. Like, he plays the part of Muslim. He plays the part of brown person. He plays that part so well. And he's, you know, it's how populists work. And he is a populist. And he tries to appeal to these young people, especially who cannot afford a home, or they just can't get ahead in life. In a city where you can see a very significant degree of wealth and inequality, he's trying to appeal to that demographic by saying, hey, I'm not part of the establishment. He's so good at it. Yes, GJ News, I guess you could say it's a great snake. He's just, perhaps because his mum is a filmmaker, maybe he got the acting chops from her. I don't know, but he's just a really good actor is all I can say. And that's why he's such a natural on camera. Now, I do want to play this for you because someone here did mention Italians. Daniel Rossi, you did mention built by Italians. So I want you to pay attention to the people actually that he calls out. And it does not include Italians.
I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. I speak of...
Yeah, that's who he's calling out. Those are the immigrants. Those are the people he's calling out as the people who represent New York now. Yeah, it's deliberate. He plays the part really well. And he knows exactly what he's doing. It's grievance politics. Like, a lot of these people, like, I know in America, the whole... the divisions along the lines of race or ethnicity are much deeper than a place like Australia, I would think. And so he plays into it really well. And at the moment, obviously, they do believe that... But also, it's ironic because New York City is only like 30% white. And yet, they really want to drive home that point that they are taking over. These are the people that are now... Like he doesn't even mention Americans. Like, I would consider America to be a really successful melting pot. But obviously the new left does not want to melt into that pot. They want to do the opposite. It's like throwing rocks into the pot. In this case, I think he does this so deliberately. Like, he doesn't even say something like, Yemeni Americans, for example, or Ethiopian American. He just says Ethiopian or Trinidadian or Mexican. He leaves the American part out. Although obviously he is trying to represent the American city. And Nate, that is a very good point. On paper, yeah, I do wonder, like, Muhammad, like, you know, even in the Quran it talks about Lot or Lut, and his people and what happened to them because they were all gay. And yet Muhammad was engaging with the men of Al-Zat. So I don't know if he was really ashamed of the fact that he was actually gay. And that's why he banned it and actually declared all the punishments for gay people. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, you could actually consider that Mamdani is being true to what Muhammad was actually like by walking into a gay club full of, I don't know, naked gay men, like trying to reenact the whole old Zut type thing. Like he's actually trying to live more like a lot more similar to Muhammad, I would think. And Kiara reads, yes, you are indeed catching a light. Welcome. Caught me at a funny moment when I'm trying to describe how Mamdani going to gay bars is actually not very far off from how the Prophet Muhammad actually lived his life back in the day as a bisexual man. But you can see, like, this is what he's actually like. And yeah, this guy actually says, look at the... I mean, this wasn't surprising. I mean, we've already looked at these statistics here, and you can see, like, hey, look, the people who voted for him, the vast majority, like, even if you combine the other two candidates' votes here, they're not even close to the votes Mamdani got from the foreign-born New Yorkers. So the bigger that block gets, I feel like the more powerful, obviously, someone like Mamdani also gets. This election, I mean, it's such a... It's not really that important if you zoom out and look at what it actually is compared to American federal elections or Senate election. It really isn't. It's just the mayor of New York City. Outside of Zohran Mamdani really looking to be elected for this, I don't know if too many people actually cared about who the mayor of New York City was or what he did. But the problem is, like, I think the shock factor really, like, it drove home the point here. It's New York City, and it's a Muslim who, like, you could always be like, oh, progressive Muslim, and he disavows a lot of the bad stuff about Islam or the bad Islamist movements. But he didn't do any of that. He marched alongside people with banners calling for globalizing the Intifada. He had no problems with that phrase. In fact, he was asked about Sharia law and he didn't have very many problems with it. He didn't want to talk about it. He was trying to weasel around that topic. So that's why it's so distasteful, and I think that's why it's got so much attention, even from me, actually. Because I just, like, I'm looking at it, like, it's almost hard to believe. Because even if you look at London, Sadiq Khan, for example, for how bad he is as the mayor, and he has tried to he's tried to downplay the grooming gang scandal, by the way, and he's talked about, like, if you live in a big city, you have to get used to terror attacks or stabbing attack, crap like this. He said all this enough, so much so that even Donald Trump has talked about Sadiq Khan. And even that position isn't that significant. Like, if I asked people in this chat, for example, who the mayor of Sydney was, the biggest city in Australia, vast majority wouldn't know who that is, or who that was, or what they stand for, or what they do, or what party they belong to. I don't think that's happening. And that's primarily because in both these major cities, it's just someone who follows a religion that's so ideologically opposite to everything Western civilization stands for. And yet they wear the costume of left-wing grievance politics. And in Zohran's case, a lot of socialist ideas in the financial hub of the United States. Okay, I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't think that's going to work out because the governor still can, keep him in check. So yeah, see? Like, realistically, I feel like prior to Mamdani, like, I don't think, or Sadiq Khan, like, I doubt people living in Australia, conversely, could have told you who the mayors of those cities were. They probably couldn't care less. Like, how does that impact them? And the other thing, like, I think I've bookmarked 2 things here. The other thing I do want to talk about is how, when it came to, so we've talked about the foreign-born population who voted for him, but we've also got to talk about the American-born New Yorkers, the white progressive voters. And I saw all these photos of young white progressive women all talking about how they've just voted for Mamdani. It's really bizarre for me to see, having born and lived my childhood in an Islamic country. Like, it's really weird. Like, what part of a life like that would you like to experience? Like, even if there was a 10% chance, a minuscule chance that Mamdani might bring in some policies that aligns a little bit better to Islamic ideas. Maybe there'll be the call to nothing significant. Maybe all like the meats used in his city-run grocery stores are all halal certified. Who knows? And everyone's sort of forced to eat halal foods as by stealth, like what we do in Australia, and I believe in many parts of the UK as well. Like, what if he does that? Suddenly are these vegan progressive white leftists going to go, oh, hey, you know what? Halal slaughter isn't that great, but I kind of voted for this. And so now, like, that's just normal. Like, everyone's eating the more inhumane version of meat, or the meat that's been slaughtered in a more inhumane way. That's what we've got to do. Well, that's what you voted for. It's not like Mamdani is going to start executing apostates. That's not going to happen. But these are things that he can do, potentially. And perhaps, like, you've seen this in the UK and the US as well. Like, once Muslims make up certain majorities in councils, what they do is, like, the LGBT flags no longer get displayed in government properties or schools or whatever. They get taken down. Is Mamdani going to enforce something like that if the Islamic voting bloc asks him to? Perhaps, who knows? There's certainly precedent for that. It has happened in the United States. So maybe he might. Or maybe he could look the other way when something like that happens. He doesn't need to do it.